Good evening. Good evening. If everyone could take their seats. Some of us have to get up at 3:30 in the morning, so we got to get this thing going. Good evening. My name is Dan Proft. I'm a talk show host for WLS Radio in Chicago. It's again my pleasure to MC tonight's event, and just as in the previous 6 events, this being the 7th annual Northwest Suburban Cook GOP Lincoln Day Dinner, we've got a great turnout, we've got a great speaker, it should be a great evening, and so let's get to it post-haste. I'd like to call up the Schaumburg American Legion Post 1983 for the posting of the colors.
Column left, march. Color guard, halt. Color guard, right, face. Color guard, prepare to post the colors. Color guard, post. Present arms.
Please join me in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay standing. I'd like to call Samantha Noga up to offer the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. I'd like to now bring up Ken Jochum for the invocation, and I think Ken is going to have a few words on the passing of Jack Roser. But just a point of personal privilege on Jack Roser. Many of you probably knew Jack personally, or certainly knew of his work. I met Jack for the first time in 1994 when I was graduating college, and he was running for office, actually. and then got to know him better a decade later, and over the previous decade, all of the work, all of the time, all of the effort that he put into advancing the flag for conservative principles and policies that flow from those principles. Jack was a colorful fella, as we all know, and had his own opinions on things, but he was a great exemplar of the leadership that the Republican Party, the conservative movement needs in this state, somebody that stood on principle relentlessly, backed his principles and his candidates with his personal wealth that he amassed, creating an unbelievably successful manufacturing company, built a beautiful Liberty Hall for those who ever were up to his facility in Carpentersville, beautiful space that he generously opened to people. So over the course of the years in politics, especially in Republican Party politics in this state, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have disagreements on policies. You're going to have disagreements on candidates. Everybody doesn't agree with everybody all the time, and that's okay. But Jack Roser's contributions to this party and to this state and the conservative movement are really unrivaled during the course of his lifetime in Illinois. And so just on a point of personal privilege, I'm going to miss him. I really appreciate all that he did to bring young conservatives like myself forward and give us opportunities that we wouldn't have otherwise had. And before Ken comes up, I'd just like to offer my own moment of silence in remembrance of Jack Roser. Thank you for that. And now Ken Jochum with the invocation.
Thank you, Dan. As we begin our invocation, let us keep in mind Jack, who was a supporter of many of us in this room, as Dan has said. Our invocation is going to be really the prayer that was prayed by a founding father many years ago. So join me in prayer, if you would. Almighty God, who has given us this land for our heritage, we humbly beseech thee that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of thy favor and glad to do thy will. Bless our land with honorable ministry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people the multitude brought hither out of many kindreds and tongues. Endow with thy spirit of wisdom those whom in thy name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to thy law we may show forth thy praise among the nations of the earth. In time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in thee to fail. All of this we ask through the Lord. Amen. This prayer was led by President Thomas Jefferson on the occasion of his first inauguration, for the first inauguration that occurred in Washington, D.C., March 4th, 1801. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, Dan Patlack knows how to pick them. As most of you know, Ken Jochum works for Cook County Board of Tax Appeals Commissioner Dan Patlack, and probably maybe the smartest guy working in Cook County government. I know that's not necessarily a high bar, but and now it's time for dinner, and after dinner we've got the full complement of speakers. You'll hear from statewide candidates. You'll obviously hear from our keynote speaker, Bruce Rauner, the next governor of the state of Illinois. And we will get to that right after the delicious offering that is available for you tonight. Thank you. All right, a first order of business. Did anybody lose a women's watch? I assume this is a women's watch. I know Matt Murphy has dainty wrists, so this could be Matt Murphy's. But if it's not, I've got this up here. All right, so whoever this is, come on up and we'll. It's not a raffle prize, it's just yours. I also have, before we get to the speakers, I have a bit of breaking news. So you're going to want to listen to this. A bit of breaking news. Dick Durbin just tweeted, this just came over the transom. Dick Durbin tweeting this: "It's time to get the money out of politics and make elections about who has the best ideas." Dick Durbin has just conceded the U.S. Senate seat. So I know Jim Oberweis is not here tonight, but congratulations to Jim Oberweis on that victory. And now, before we hear from Governor-elect Rauner, we're going to hear from three of our other statewide candidates, starting with Paul Schimpf. Paul Schimpf is running for Attorney General against Lisa Madigan. And here's all the, Paul's going to say a lot about his background and what he plans to do as Attorney General, but let me just crystallize the race for you in one sentence, because races are about contrast, right? So Paul Schimpf is Marine, JAG Corps officer. He was part of the group responsible for finding and prosecuting Saddam Hussein. So our candidate for Attorney General was part of a group who found a despot in a spider hole in the middle of a desert and prosecuted them to the fullest extent of the law. Their 12-year incumbent Attorney General can't find a corrupt public official in Illinois. There's your choice in November. Paul Schimpf.
Thank you, Dan, for the introduction and stealing my thunder. Also, thank you all to you all for coming out tonight and giving me the opportunity to introduce myself to you. My name is Paul Schimpf, and I'm running for Illinois Attorney General because our state desperately needs an Attorney General who's not beholden to the insiders and special interest groups in either political party. Now, as Dan mentioned, I had something to do with prosecuting the Ace of Spades in Baghdad. All I'm going to say about that tonight is once you've dealt with him, corruption in Springfield, Illinois doesn't seem so intimidating anymore. No. Now, in addition to doing that, I've also been a prosecutor for the Marine Corps. I was the head prosecutor for the Western Recruiting Region, prosecuted attempted murder, rape, sexual assault cases. Basically, you name it, I've prosecuted it. I also, before I was a lawyer for the Marines, I was an infantry officer, so I know a little bit about fighting, although not as much as Larry Cafish. Stand up, Larry. Three combat tours in Afghanistan, folks. And I'm going to go a little bit off script, but if there are any other veterans in the audience, could you please stand up as well and be recognized? So I know a little bit about fighting, and I am honored to be fighting alongside this man, Bruce Rauner, to take back Illinois and fix our state. You get to know people on the campaign trail. Pat Quinn is not going to know what hit him when Bruce Rauner gets done with him, and I'm really excited about Bruce's campaign, and I think he's going to make a fantastic governor. But one of the chief threats that our state faces is political corruption. And it's not Bruce Rauner's job to fight corruption. That should be the Attorney General's job. And if you elect me as your Attorney General, fighting corruption is going to be my #1 priority. Now, folks, this is going to be a tough race against Lisa Madigan, but it is a winnable race. There was a poll that came out today, over 1,000 likely voters. We're actually within 16 points of Lisa Madigan. We're ahead downstate and tied in the collar counties. We got some work to do in the cities, but 16 points, folks, coming from nowhere to be within 16 points of Lisa Madigan 4.5 months out. This is a winnable race. We are going to flip this state. The reason it's a winnable race, and I'm going to close with this, is our message. Our message is self-evidently true. If you want somebody to actually do something about corruption in this state, it can't be a political insider. It's got to be somebody like me. If you want somebody to fight corruption, protect your medical and financial privacy under this train wreck that is Obamacare, and actually defend your constitutional rights and freedoms, you need to place your trust in me. You need to trust a retired Marine, not the Madigan machine. Thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, Paul talking about political corruption. It was interesting. It was just the other week that on the same day, 2 Democrat state reps were being arraigned in court at the same time, one for taking a bribe and the other for child pornography, or what we call in Illinois just another day in politics. So we could certainly use some change of leadership at the Attorney General level. Also, just quickly, Paul pointed out Larry Cafish, who's running against Tammy Duckworth, another winnable race. People don't think it could be won, but it's a winnable race. In addition to that, we have a host of state legislative candidates here today that I hope you'll meet that really are going to be the key to swinging the pendulum in the House, in the Senate, and giving Bruce Rauner something other than a superminority with which to work in the General Assembly. Because if we think about the governors that we talk about all the time, the successful governors in the Midwest that we want to emulate, Scott Walker in Wisconsin, Mitch Daniels, and now Mike Pence in Indiana, Rick Snyder in Michigan. One of the things they had, in addition to their own leadership capacities and their policy vision, is they had Republican control of their state legislatures. So that's really important because this is not a one-man gig, as I think Bruce would be the first to admit, and he needs people that he can work with in the General Assembly to advance an overarching, comprehensive reform agenda for Illinois, just as we have seen Republican governors do in our Midwestern neighbors. So meet Jim Moynihan, meet Kathy Miles, meet Ramiro Juarez, meet Don Wilson. There's other, meet Mel Thillins. There's a ton of legislative candidates in North and Northwest Suburban, Cook County, up into Lake County that are mission critical for us getting out of the superminority and moving our way to that magic 60 number, particularly in the House, and ultimately the magic 30 number at some point in the Senate over the next couple cycles. And that begins in 2016, where we have great opportunities at the legislative level, just as we do at the statewide level. Next statewide candidate I want to introduce you to, hear from, offer a few words. He's running for Secretary of State against Jesse White, and his name is Mike Webster.
It's not a long speech. No. They told me I had as much time as I want because Bruce doesn't have a lot to say tonight. So, but I would like to thank you for having me here tonight, and I really appreciate having the moment to speak in front of you. I am Mike Webster. I'm your nominee for Secretary of State. I know a lot of you in this audience. It's been great to get to know you. I appreciate all your help in the primary, in the primary election. I think the general election, I hope, will be just as big a runaway as I had in the primary. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a practicing attorney. I have an office in Naperville. Been married to my wife, Sandy, who's here with me tonight, since 1992. We have 4 beautiful daughters. One's in college, 3 in high school. Part of the reason I'm running is because they don't want me in the House anyway. So I could spend a lot of time in Springfield. But I just want to say, talk about our current Secretary of State. In 2010, when he was elected to his 4th term in office, one of the things he said was that was going to be his last term. Little did he know how right he was back then. And as he celebrates his 80th birthday next Monday, I ask all of you to join me and all the voters of all around the state of Illinois in wishing him the best in his retirement. We've already seen that this is not going to be a normal election year. You know, the voters are demanding a lot of things change, and I think the pundits out there are going to be in for a few more surprises. You met Paul just a few minutes ago. Now you're meeting me tonight. We're gonna change some things in Springfield, and we're gonna show the people in this state. We're gonna show the people around this whole country that Illinois has decided that it's time to change. That we're gonna make a clean break from our corrupt past. You know, it's time for change. It's time to end the corruption. You know, the one-party rule in Illinois is going to be no longer. There's no more special deals. There's no more, you know, special privileges to certain people. We're going to work for the entire state. Families in Illinois are struggling, and it's time. It's time to send people to Springfield that are willing to work for the hardworking people of the state of Illinois and not just the privileged few. So as we get going this summer, we're going to campaign hard throughout the whole state. People are going to get to know me, and they're going to realize that we have a real campaign going forward. One of the programs that we're going to roll out, and you're going to hear a lot about it this summer, is my Forward Illinois plan. We're going to turn the Secretary of State's office into an advocate for businesses in this state, not the regulatory burden that it is. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to provide the current job providers in Illinois for a reason to stay here in Illinois. It's going to provide the new job creators a reason to create jobs in Illinois. And if they do that, it's going to put Illinois residents back to work. So that's the plan we have. And it's time. It's working in our neighbor states. There's no reason we can't make that work for Illinois, too. So we got some exciting things that we're going to roll out here over the summer, and I can't wait to get started in Springfield. So we can't send Bruce to Springfield alone, so I'm asking for all your support this summer and for everybody up and down the ticket. So thanks again for having me tonight. And
We've come a long way in the state treasurer's office from having a failed mob banker as our state treasurer, and that was just 4 years ago. So we aspire to continue that upward trajectory this year with a familiar face, former House Republican leader, State Representative Tom Cross, our candidate for state treasurer.
Well, good evening. I just want to make one comment before I get started on my race. You may know this, Dan and I don't always agree on everything, but few of you know that. You should listen to us show more. But I do, Dan. I do. But I'll tell you where we agree on one thing, and that's Jack Rozier. And this, you may find this a little surprising, but I spent a lot of time in Jack's office, in the Liberty office, having lunch. And I see Jim Bassett here and Jesse and others. And while Jack and I disagreed strongly on some issues, we agreed on a lot, and we agreed about where we wanted this state to go. And I have not met a man like Jack in a long time who cared as deeply as he does and did about this country and about this state. And he was a good person. So Dan, we share that in common. That's all those. Why treasurer, and why is the state of the treasurer's office that important? When you look at the condition of this state, and most of us know it, it's abysmal. Whether it's the worst bond rating in the country, the worst funded pension system in the country, second highest or third highest unemployment rate in the country, haven't had a balanced budget in 10 years, the numbers are staggering. In fact, we have the second highest migration rate in the country. People leaving at an alarming rate. And I think if you're paying attention to this race, if Bruce Rauner doesn't win the governor's race, that number will increase on the migration rate to a number we don't want to see. And that's why this race for governor is that critical, and why we need Bruce to win. I I have to tell you, you know what the first state is in terms of migration here in this country? It's New Jersey. They're number one. And as we've talked about a little bit on the campaign trail, I've come to the conclusion that maybe Governor Christie closed that bridge on purpose because he doesn't want people leaving New Jersey at the alarming rate that they've been leaving. We don't have a bridge to close, so we have to fix things. And one of the things that struck me as I decided to run for treasurer is we haven't had a balanced budget in 10 years. And because we haven't had a balanced budget, we now owe almost $5 to $6 billion in unpaid bills. That cost us as a state over $300 million in late fees and penalties. If you're a nursing home provider, a physician, a pharmacy, a hospital, a school district, we owe you money. And if you're a small provider that gives them maybe substance abuse treatment in Schaumburg or Palatine, you're lucky if you can stay in business. That's unacceptable. And one of the things that we need to do, and where we can use the treasurer's office in a proactive, aggressive way, is to make sure we honor our Constitution. Our Constitution mandates that we balance the budget. And if I'm elected treasurer, and I'm fortunate enough to be elected treasurer, we will require that the General Assembly and the governor follow our Constitution and balance the budget. And if that means taking somebody like Mike Madigan to court to enforce our Constitution, we will do that. It's that important. There are other things that we want to do. We have to watch the money. We have to do Bright Start. But at the end of the day, we can use these offices to engage in a way to turn this state around and give support to a General Assembly and give it support to a guy like Bruce Rauner, who I do believe will be our next governor. This is a great state. You wouldn't be here tonight if you didn't care about Illinois. We have the best farmland in the world. We have great hospitals. We have great universities. We have great schools. We want it to be saved. And the only way we do that is to elect the people here tonight. Now, one of the things that I get scared about is we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The numbers are good. We're excited about the poll results. They're good in Bruce's race. They're good in our race. They're good in some legislative races. But we have a long way to go. The Democrats don't always play fair. They'll fight. They'll get dirty. They'll try to steal elections. We need to go strong until the very last day. And Tommy Lasorda, great manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers, used to say to his players, as they came around third base, he had a tendency to want to look back and see what was coming. He said, don't turn around till you cross home plate. We can't turn around till we cross home plate, till Bruce gets elected, to Mike, to Paul, and all the other people here tonight. Thank you very, very much, and have a great night. Bruce, thank you very much. Bruce, Dan.
And Tom is right about the need for ballot security, the need for GOTV right up through the finish line. As some of you probably following the General Assembly at the end of session, Democrats with ballot initiatives and creative voter enfranchisement legislation did everything just short of declaring that Democrats shall receive 50% plus one of the vote by law at the end of session. So it's going to take a lot of investment and a lot of hard work and boots on the ground, maybe not in Iraq, but boots on the ground here in Illinois in November to make sure that we have a free and fair election, if nothing but for the novelty of it here in Illinois. And so in addition to Bruce and the statewide candidates and the legislative candidates, another man with a lot of responsibility and who will not be able to spend as much time at the Golf Club of Algonquin, where I'll be spending more time this summer, is our new Republican State Party Chairman, Cook County Commissioner Tim Schneider. And he's going to give us an update on the party and introduce our keynote speaker, Tim Schneider.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Are you excited to be a Republican this evening? I know I am. So, as Dan said at my Golf Club of Illinois in Algonquin, there were two guys discussing politics at the bar the other day, and I asked them, they were kind of getting a little feisty. I said, are you members of any organized political party? And the one guy stood up, he said, no, we're Illinois Republicans. And so I said, I said, look at this crowd tonight. I said, that's my job, but I don't think it's going to be that tough a job because we are going to be organized and we are going to be united in November. And we're going to be united around the core principles of this election. We're going to be united around lower taxes, less wasteful spending, term limits, a booming economy, and a quality education for our kids. That's what we stand for in November. Now, that's quite in contrast with the broken promises and the failed policies of the Quinn Madigan administration. A little girl, maybe some of you heard this, a little girl went up to her father one day and she said, do all fairy tales, Daddy, start with once upon a time? And the father said, well, not all fairy tales start that way. Some start with, if elected, I promise. So, and that's what we've seen under Pat Quinn and Mike Madigan. We have the third worst unemployment rate in the United States. In this state, this is the capital of the Midwest, with Chicago, rail, transportation, the finest ag in the nation. We have the worst unemployment in the Midwest. We have the third worst economy for business in the country, in a great state like Illinois. And we are spending less and less on education every year. This is abysmal, and we can do better. Let's see. Well, let's stop right there for now. But here's the problem we've got. The Democrats are really bad at legislating, but they're remarkably good at winning elections. That's what they do. But this year it's going to be different in Illinois. I can see it. I can see it in the power and in the enthusiasm in this crowd. Now, we've got a candidate for governor this year that is quite a remarkable man. I was lucky enough to travel with Bruce 3 days a couple weeks ago, and I want to tell you about one day traveling with Bruce Rauner. We got up early and got down to Mount Vernon about 7:15 in the morning, and he did a speaking engagement at Mount Vernon. We went from there to Nashville, to Oakville, to DuQuoin, to Sparta, to Percy, to Chester, to Waterloo, and then to Bloomington. And he gave 11 speeches at 10 places. And in between that, he was making fundraising calls and giving interviews to newspapers along the way. We finished our day about 10 o'clock at night, and that's what this man does every day for you. So the day after I was elected state party chairman, I got a call from Reince Priebus. I thought, this is great. He wants to talk to Tim Schneider, the new state party chairman. No, he wanted to talk to me about the exciting races in the state of Illinois, the congressional races that we have. We have some really, really exciting congressional races, but he really wanted to talk to me about the governor's race in Illinois. When I went to a fly-in in Raleigh, North Carolina last week, all they wanted to talk to, all these state chairmen from all over the country, all they want to talk about is the excitement that we have here in Illinois. So come November, my job is to elect Bruce Rauner governor. Your job is to elect Bruce Rauner governor and Republicans all the way up and down the ticket so that we can show the Democrats what a Republican-led state Illinois can be if it wants to be. So, you've heard enough speeches. So all I want to tell you now is we've got the candidate we need. We've got the message we need. All we need to do is go down there and fix that roof on the mansion. And I'm going to help Bruce do that. And at this point, I'd like to introduce the next governor of Illinois, Bruce Rauner.
All right, everybody, let's get up. It's our year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm here to make you a promise. I'm here to make you a promise. This is our year. This is our election. We are going to knock Pat Quinn out of office and turn our state around. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you in this room, because it's your patriotism, it's your commitment, it's your passion for constitutional principles, limited government, low taxes, individual liberty, personal responsibility. It's your principles, your faith and hard work is how we're going to rebuild our Republican Party. It's how we're going to win this election for governor and up and down the ticket. And it's how we're going to turn our state government around, just the way the other great leaders of the Midwest, Scott Walker, Mitch Daniels, Rick Snyder, and many others are doing. We're going to do the same thing here. We absolutely are. Now, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you in this room. To you veterans, God bless you. You are the ultimate public servants. Thank you for your sacrifice for our freedom and our democracy. All of you precinct committeemen, county board members, public police officers, mayors, servants to the public, God bless you, thank you. You are what make America great. You are what make democracy work. Thank you for your service. Tommy Cross, Paul Schimpf, we've got Mike Webster, thank you so much. Aaron Del Mar, thanks for leading the party in Cook County. And Joe Felici, where's Joe? We put Joe, stand up and say thank you. Thanks for putting this dinner on. And here, I want to give my own shout out. You know what, Dan? It was a wonderful moment of silence, and Tommy, thanks for acknowledging. We lost a few days ago one of the greatest Americans in our nation's history. One of the greatest patriots, one of the greatest Americans who ever lived. It was an honor for me to know him. It was an honor for me to work with him. He was everything that makes America great. He was a veteran. He was a great father. He was a hardworking, creative entrepreneur. And he believed strongly in the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration of Independence, and the founding principles that make us the greatest nation in the history of the world. We all owe a debt of gratitude to Jack Roser. He would battle when other people wouldn't battle. He stuck to his ground. He stuck firm to the principles that make us a great nation, and we could take great lessons from Jack Roser, a life well lived. God bless you, Jack. May you rest in peace. I'm here to make you a commitment. We're going to win this race, but I'm also here to help all of us together rebuild our party. We have been redistricted almost out of existence. We've had elections stolen from us. We've been run into the ground. We've allowed corruption to seep into our party. We've had special interest groups that make their money from government seep into our party. And you know what? We're going to reject that. We're going to rebuild in the core principles that you hold dear and the reason that you're Republicans. And I'm going to go to work for you. I am a fighter. I don't lose. I do not lose. We are going to rebuild our party. We're going to rebuild our party around core principles, limited government, low taxes, individual liberty, personal responsibility. We are become a dominant party in Illinois again. Just the way the Republican parties have been rebuilt in Indiana and Wisconsin and in Michigan and many other states that are turning themselves around. Now, I can transform our state government because the governorship in Illinois is very powerful. The reason I decided to do it is I can drive results. But the results won't stick, and some of the biggest changes won't happen if we don't have a dominant Republican Party that's competitive in races up and down the ticket, and if we don't have a General Assembly that's strongly represented by Republicans with sound principles. And I'm committed to you. I will commit to you. And right now, I'm going to work just as hard in my race and for fundraising for my candidacy as I am for every race and every candidate up and down the ticket. I'm doing fundraisers for every candidate. I'm speaking on behalf of every candidate. I'm recruiting folks to work staff in every candidate. And we're sharing our campaign offices with the candidates all over the state. We're going to leverage our resources to win this election and build our party back up. We are going to open more offices for the Republican Party than have ever been opened in this state in history. We're opening dozens and dozens of offices around the state. initially to help win this governor's race. But every one of them we're going to share with other candidates, and when we win in November, we're going to turn the whole infrastructure over to the Republican Party, and we're going to use it to build our party and become strong and dominant once again. And I'm going to work tirelessly to bring new donors to our party, new candidates to our party, and recruit volunteers as well as hire key staff members to build our party and make us strong. And I'm committed this election to have the Republican Party have the strongest ground game that's ever been run in this state by a Republican organization. We are going to get out the troops. Because we're going to be strong. Now, we're going to run great ads. We're going to run great ads, positive ads. You know what? And I've got, as people have pointed out, I've got a great voice for radio, but I have a face for radio too. So my wife is going to help me get out there. She's got a great face for television. She's going to be helping with the campaign. We're going to hit Quinn hard, really hard. He's a target-rich environment, and we're going to hit him hard every day, pointing out his failure. And believe me, he is the worst governor in America, and he's got the track record to prove it. But the reason we're going to win is we're going to run the best ground game ever in Illinois history. We've already got thousands and thousands of volunteers signed up. We've built up a great staff all over the state. We're getting great volunteers. We've got hundreds of college kids and high school kids manning the phones, putting out the yard signs, and getting on social media. And we are going to run the most aggressive social media campaign ever been run by a Republican Party organization anywhere in the state. And we're not going to let the rascals, you know what? I'm a big believer in every voter voting. That's a great thing. But you know what? We are going to make sure that the voters have integrity in Illinois and the voting process is done the right way. I'm all for bringing out voters. Let's bring all our voters out, but we're going to make sure it's done honestly and with integrity. And that's critically important. And here's a critical issue, and this is where I need you. This is a big team effort. There's 500,000 Republicans who don't vote in non-presidential elections. Big problem. We've got to talk to our friends, talk to our neighbors, talk to our fellow church members. If our folks stay home, we're in trouble. And we got to tell our friends, remember, yes, the presidency is important. Yes, Congress is important. But you know what? Our lives, the quality of our schools, our tax burden, our job opportunities are determined just as much by Springfield and the governorship and the General Assembly as they are about what happens in Washington. And we have got to get out and vote, and every vote matters. We've got to tell our folks, every vote matters. Bill Brady lost last time, and I can't tell you how upset I was. I helped him raise millions of dollars. I was very upset. I knew that if we lost that, Mike Madigan was going to have free reign to redistrict us out of existence. Knew that was coming. We lost by 3 votes per precinct. We cannot let that happen again. We have got to get our votes, get our folks out, get them to the polls. We're going to run a big program. And for those who can't get out, we're going to shuttle services. And you know what? We're going to get out to vote early. You know what? It's voting early. Republicans are busy. Sometimes they're traveling on election day. Sometimes they can't get out. They're taking care of business or the family. Well, you know what? In Illinois, there's a couple weeks we got to get our folks. Republicans mostly vote on election day. Well, you know what? There's a whole window. Let's take advantage of it. Let's talk to our neighbors. Hey, let's go vote. Let's get programs going. We're going to run as big and aggressive a get out the vote effort that's ever been done. It's critically important. Critically important. You know, I'm new to all this stuff. I've never run for office. I just love the state of Illinois. This is home. This is a battle. To me, this is boy, you mess with my home, you're messing with the wrong guy. I get very, very upset. This is our home. This is our home, and our home is at risk. We've got folks taxing and spending us into oblivion. We've got folks deteriorating our schools, shredding our social services safety net, running our jobs out of the state. The politicians in Springfield are running our home into the ground. Pat Quinn is running our state the way he takes care of the governor's residence in Springfield. That's exactly how he runs our state, the same way, leaking roof, destroying Lincoln furniture, and flooding the basement. That's what he's doing. He's doing the same thing to our economy. Well, term limits will do that. You know, term limits are the one way we can get that done. You know what? We needed to collect 296,000 signatures to get term limits on the ballot May 4th. We collected 596,000 signatures. We collected double what we need. It's hugely popular, hugely popular. And you know what? They tried to throw our signatures off. They couldn't. We had too many good signatures. They said, oh, well, I guess you got to be on. And then Madigan had one of his lawyers sue to block the process. We've got that. Somebody told me the hearing's tomorrow. We're going to battle that, and we're going to win that lawsuit. Madigan's desperate not to have term limits. We're going to win this lawsuit. And let me make you another promise. I hope the redistricting guys and the Yes for Fair Maps, I hope that gets on the ballot. Right now, they don't have enough signatures.
They won their case today.
Oh, they did? Awesome. Great news. So what does that mean? Do they have enough signatures or?
No, they get to present their evidence.
Okay. Well, okay, good enough.
Step in the right direction.
That's a step, good step. I'm here to tell you, I'm a little skeptical about what's happened there because it was a bipartisan effort. I'm worried that some of the Democrats in that effort didn't really want those signatures to get done. They wouldn't let us drive the process because they said, Bruce, you're a Republican. We don't want you. I knew if I managed the term limits process, we were going to get the signatures. And I offered to run that process for them. They said, oh, no, the Democrats said, no, Bruce is a Republican. We'll handle it. You see how they handled it. You know what? And let me promise you right now, if they don't get that on the ballot, and I hope the heck they do, and I'm going to try to help them get it on the ballot. If they don't, I promise you right now, 2 years from now, I'm going to run that process and we're going to get it on the ballot. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You know what? We had a big debate in my family where they should run because this is a labor of love. I ain't going to take a salary, ain't taking a pension. I'm doing this out of labor of love. And my kids, all 6 of our kids around the dinner table, my wife and me, should Daddy run for office? Oh, it's going to be nasty. My youngest daughter said, Daddy, don't run for governor. I don't want you to go to jail. Is that a sad comment or what? And I said, Katie, this was 2 years ago. She said it. She was 13 years old. And I said, Katie, it's worse than you think. Not only do we have 2 governors in prison, 4 out of our last 8 governors have gone to jail. We're batting 500. Over decades and decades, we're batting 500. Unbelievable. We got guys down there for the wrong reasons. That's why we got to have term limits, and that's why we got to have redistricting reform to stop these politicians from picking their voters and from stopping being in office for 30 years, 40 years, making millions of dollars from their side law firm or their business. It's corrupt. It's broken. We got to end that system. And this is the beginning of it. We're going to end that whole system. Now, I'm honored to go to work for you. I'm honored to go to work for you. And I am a workaholic. I love this. We're on the campaign trail 7 days a week. You know what? I got my values from my grandfather. My grandfather was a dairy farmer. Back when it wasn't machines. It wasn't machines. And that is hard work. 365 days a year, morning till night. You know what? He taught me about hunting and fishing and the pride of gun ownership and riding motorcycles. My grandfather was a union guy, made butter and cottage cheese in the Hawthorne Melody plant in Whitewater, Wisconsin, lived in a little double-wide trailer, spoke Swedish. But you know what? He taught me 3 things in life, the way I've tried to run my life. He said, Bruce, get a great education. It's the key to your future. Whatever you do, work your tail off and give it 100% your best every day and give back in your community because everybody needs some help. And it ain't big government programs that help other people. It's we help each other. Through our churches, through our community organizations, family to family, we help each other. And that's the reason I didn't come from any more money. I'm a middle-class kid. I worked my way through school, but I've done good. I made a ton of money, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. And my wife and I give back. It's the reason we build health clinics. We built the Red Cross in Chicago. We built the YMCA in Little Village. We fund vouchers for poor kids and scholarships. We do merit pay programs for great teachers. My wife runs a not-for-profit that runs early childhood education programs for kids in poverty, ages 0 to 5. We care, we love the communities in Illinois, and we're giving back every way I can, and that's the reason I decided to run for governor. I learned a lot in business about how to build teams, solve problems, and get things done, and that's what we're going to do in Springfield. You know, when Mitch Daniels turned Indiana around, he brought in 30 superstars from the private sector and said, you are going to be public servants, we'll run the government, not these career bureaucrats. We're going to get results. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to move the governor's residence. My wife and I are honored to live there. Got to fix the roof, and we'll do that. And we're going to turn the government around just the way the states around us have done. And I'll do the same thing in building out the team of the campaign. I've been very blessed. We've assembled a heck of a campaign team. And you know what? I studied Bill Brady, why Bill Brady lost last time. We'd study it. I won't go into all the details tonight. That most of it doesn't matter. But one thing I'll tell you, Bill didn't campaign enough around Cook County. He didn't. That's a fact. That's a fact. And you know what? Many Republicans, you know, as they travel, some of us here in Cook County can appreciate this. I've traveled the state. We've put over 100,000 miles driving Illinois the last year. And I've spoken to thousands of events, thousands of voters. You know, I also can ask the folks around the state, what's the number one thing I can do to restore the quality of life for the families of Illinois? You know what the number one response is by far? Secede from Cook County. There isn't even a close second. That's a fact. And you know what? That's good for a chuckle, a great way to lose elections. We keep that mindset, we lose elections. There's a lot of Republicans in Cook County, and there's a lot of good Republicans in Cook County. And there's a lot of independent voters and a lot of persuadable Democrats in Cook County. And if we get there and we show we care and we get out there and communicate with them, we can get them over to our side. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And nobody's going to outwork Evelyn and me in this race. Nobody. You know what? I'm speaking at African American churches on Sunday morning now, 2 or 3 every Sunday. Show up in there, and a lot of times they're like, wow, why are you doing here? You know what? And I get up there, and I've had standing ovations at some of these churches. And a lot of the ministers say, wow, like this message of this guy. And you know what? I'm a Democrat, but you know what? I'm voting Republican this time, and you and the congregation ought to do the same. Quinn is failing us on jobs and on schools, and we need more jobs, and we need better schools. And Bruce Rauner has built his career doing that stuff. So Reverend Meeks has endorsed us and working for our campaign. Reverend Hatch is helping our campaign. Dozens of African-American ministers around the state are helping our campaign. And sometimes somebody in the flock will stand up and say, Bruce, I love your message. I'd like to vote for you, but I've never voted for a Republican in my life. I always vote for a Democrat. I said, okay, so how's that working for you? And then they go, well, I don't know. And I say, listen, think about that for a second. If you take that mindset, that means that the Democrats can take you for granted. They don't have to do anything for you because they're going to get their vote anyway. And the Republicans are probably wasting their time to talk to you. Why is that smart for you? Why is that good for your family or your neighborhood or your community? Why not play both parties off against each other and demand results and accountability from politicians and get something good, get jobs growing, get great schools? Why don't you do, and you know what? They fight about it and then say, Bruce, okay, where's your yard signs? We're in. That's exactly. And today I met with a large group of Korean Americans in Chicago. Most of them in the room were Democrats. Met with them, and you know what? Left the room with a lot of endorsements and a big Korean American get out the vote effort. Same thing this morning. On Devon Avenue, I met with a whole bunch of Indian Americans. Team Johnny, Nimish Johnny. And as Nimish told me, he said 2/3 of the people in that room are Democrats. All of them signed up to be part of our ground game. All of them said that they're doing part of the endorsements. They're all going to be working with us. And they're a big community. But I'm speaking to Polish radio and Polish newspapers, Polish Americans around Chicago, 1 million. 1 million, and they're mostly Democrats. And you know what? I'm there. I marched in their parade, Constitution Day, down Columbus Drive. Quinn's people were not happy to see me there, and I was up high-fiving up and down the parade route, shaking everybody's hand and getting a lot of support. Greek community around Chicago. There's 500,000 Greeks around Chicago. And And most of them have traditionally voted Democrat. And you know what? I'm there with them. I'm going to their events. I'm going to the Orthodox churches. I'm speaking in the newspapers and on radio. And you know what? I went, and this shows what's going on. My friends, I'm getting a lot of endorsements in the Greek community, and they said, Bruce, come march in our parade. We'd be honored to have you come to the Greek Independence Day parade on Halstead Street. I said, sure. Quinn found out I was going. He's never showed up to a Greek parade in his career. He's never showed up. He came that day, and his people tried to push us out of the parade. They tried to say, oh, this is a Democrat parade. I said, the heck it is. And I pushed right to the front of it. I pushed right to the front of it. And I marched up and down that parade, high fives, selfies the whole way. Huge support. Huge support. We are going right into Quinn's base. We're showing we care. Our party is the party of results. We get more jobs in a booming economy. We get better schools. And we're going to work for every family and every community in this state. And that message is resonating. You know what? One last story. I went through security at O'Hare a couple weeks ago. I went through the metal detector. I was flying to an event. 4 African-American TSA security guards, big guys, came. They rushed up to me. They looked like they played for the Bears. I was like, they said, hey. I thought, wow, I'm not carrying my gun. What's going on? Oh, what? They said, hey, you're running for governor. I said, yes, I am. You scared me. Don't do that. And they said, hey, you know what? All 4 of us are Democrats. We love your commercials. We love your wife. We're all voting for you. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's an honor to be with you. God bless you. I'm so pumped to work for you. I can't tell you. This is our year. We're going to build our party. We're going to win this election. We're going to turn it around. Let's go beat them. Let's go get them. Thank you very much.
All right. Now, if everybody could settle in for a second, we got a couple more items to deal with. I'd like to turn the microphone over to the man really who rides point and is largely responsible for this event, Joe Felici.
Thanks, Dan. We have some introductions, and I'm going to be brief. But if you have not bought your raffle tickets yet, and you would like them, please raise your hand now. We're going to do the drawing in a couple minutes. I'm sure all of you are anxiously waiting to see if you won the $2,000. If anybody wants raffle tickets, raise your hand, and we have people to come around. Otherwise, Brendan, oh, good, you got that set. All right, first off, I wanted to say, to thank Dan very much. You know, Dan has been our master of ceremonies in 6 of our 7 dinners, and we really appreciate it. He does a great job, great wit, keeps the program moving. We really appreciate it. Well, I hope all of you have enjoyed our 7th annual Lincoln Day dinner, and it's gratifying to see so many of the same people who are every year supporting us. We really appreciate it. Now, as part of the program, I do want to thank some people. And I want to thank those of you who supported us by purchasing ads in our program book. And if you've come to our dinners in the past, you notice that this is our biggest program book ever. We sold more ads this year than ever before. And I would encourage you to take the program book with you and peruse it at your leisure. And if you have an opportunity to support some of the people who purchased ads in here, that would be great. And please let them know that you saw it in the program book, so that next year when we hit them up for an ad again, they'll be happy to buy. I also want to thank the sponsors for our event tonight. Our candidate for governor, Bruce Rauner, was our dinner and general reception sponsor. And Jack Roser, who many have spoken about earlier today, was our reception sponsor, and we appreciate that very much. Next, and we're going to finish up here in a minute with the raffle, I want to introduce our committeemen. You know, 8 township committees, 8 township Republican organizations put on this dinner. And as Bruce said before, how important Cook County is. Do you know that our 8 township Republican organizations produce more Republican votes in the state of Illinois than any county, including DuPage County. So our 8 township organizations produce a tremendous amount of votes, and that's not possible without the support of everybody in this room, because the money that's raised here goes to help our organizations to keep us going in our Get Out the Vote efforts. This year, we're pleased to have added a new township to the host committee, and that's Maine Township. There's Shar Falls Egerman. I'm going to introduce the other township committeemen, and please hold your applause so we can get out of here quicker till they're all introduced. In alphabetical order by township: Dan Fitzgerald from Barrington Townships. Dan, stand up. Art Nowodowski from Elk Grove Township. Art should be over there. Mary Alice Benoit, the new committeeman in Hanover. Where's Mary Alice at? She's here somewhere. Okay. We already mentioned Shar from Maine Township. Peter Amarantos, Northfield. Aaron Del Mar from Palatine Township and Cook County Republican Chairman. Ryan Higgins from Schaumburg Township. And Ruth O'Connell from Wheeling Township. And a couple more things. The dinner would not be a success without the support of our dinner committee. So I'd like to introduce them and ask them to please stand. And here again, just hold your applause till the end so we can get out of here quicker. Brendan Syring is our treasurer from Schaumburg. Where's Brendan at? He's been also selling raffle tickets. There he is. Sharon Johnson, our secretary from Palatine Township. Bob Vintage, our program book coordinator from Schaumburg. It was and Bob did an exceptional job this year with this book. It's quite a feat to get this out, and of course it went through about 6 revisions with the printer. So it's quite a job. Trudy Berry from Barrington Township. And Dale Nowodowski and Russ Nowak from Elk Grove Township. And Jim Hood from Hanover. Lucinda Casperson, Northfield Township. Cinda Walter from Palatine. And Ken Jokum from Wheeling. Thank you. And I failed to mention 2 others, Carla Brookman from Maine and Patty Damish from Northfield, who have family issues tonight and couldn't join us, although they really wanted to be here. You know, after the last election, a lot of people thought that the Republican Party was, not doing so well, and you could tell by the enthusiasm in this room. I think we're doing great, and we're gonna take the state back in November. We don't have time to introduce all of the township elected officials and all of the Republican candidates and office holders in the state. But I'd like all of them to stand up so you can see how many of them are here. So any township elected official, any candidate for state rep or state senator, any incumbent for state rep or state senator, any congressional candidates, please everybody stand up. There's a lot of you. Come on, stand up. So these are the people that we really need to get out and work for and produce good results in November. All right, I think we're ready for our mega raffle. There are 3 prizes. First prize is $2,000. Second prize is $500, and the third prize is $250.
Announce, make sure everyone, if they have any stubs left.
Yeah, does anybody have any stubs left to turn in? And how did we do it last year? Did we do 250 first and 500? Okay. I am told that last year, and we'll follow the same procedure, we did the 250 first, then the 500, and then the 2,000. So let's start. Let's see. Who do we want to? Who do we want here to? Maybe Shar. Yes, you can draw. We're gonna let Shar draw. The first one is for $250. What's the ticket number? It's 2074. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, it's 2074, and it looks like, I don't know, maybe Jolie, SMEY. I don't know, what is that? It was sold by John Bodelich, and the person lives in Bartlett, Illinois, and it was sold by Hanover. Okay, so you'll figure out who it is. It won't be Jim Hood though. Okay, let's do another one. This is for 2,000. It is Schomburg. No. Bruce Plaxton, he won last year. But he won, I think he won 250. I think he won 250 last year. This year he won $2,000. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our evening. Drive safely. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I did this last time. We've got, I'm jumping the gun here. Yeah, we have God Bless America with Samantha. Come on up. Sorry about that.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam.